Hello, everyone. So let me continue with chapter 3. Actually, we just started. Welcome to chapter 3, producer behavior. All right. Last time we looked at consumers, how you decide what to buy. Today we flip sides. How do firms decide what to sell and how much? Three things this chapter and notice it mirrors chapter 2 exactly. Okay, just from the seller's side, we have law of supply, how sellers respond to price. You'll see it's basically the mirror image of the law of demand. And then we're going to talk about elasticity of supply, all right? How sensitive sellers are to price changes. Same logic as before. And here we have a new one, which is the theory of the firm. Okay, how they make a decision for production. This one's new. We'll look inside the firm itself. How does a business actually turn inputs into outputs? All right. Okay, let's look at the definition of supply. Supply is the quantity of a commodity which producers or sellers are willing to produce and offer for sale at a particular price in a given market at a particular period of time. Okay, so basically, they are willing to sell. Okay, they are willing to produce and offer for sale. All right, those are the keywords. Let me emphasize, okay, willing, not just what they can produce, but what they choose to offer at the price. Just like demand had want plus purchasing power, supply has its own condition hiding in there, okay? It has to be profitable enough for the seller to bother. Next one, the law of supply. This is the mirror image of the law of demand, but now the relationship goes the same direction, okay? The same direction. Let's see here. Let's fill blanks together. Relationship between price and quantity supplied of a good or service. Okay, suppose the price rises. What will happen to the quantity supplied? It will also rise, right? The other way around, if price falls, the quantity supplied falls as well. Unlike demand, price and quantity supplied moved. Okay, here, price and quantity supplied, they move together. Okay, the same direction. The quantity of any commodity that firms will produce and offer for sale rises with price rises and falls with fall in price when, of course, we need to use the ceteris paribus in economics, which is assuming other things remaining the same, okay? Just think about it. Buyers love low prices. That's why demand goes down when price goes up. But sellers love high prices, right? Supply goes up when price goes up. Let me give you some intuitive example, okay? Suppose the bubble tea shop at 25 baht per cup, owner makes little profit, so they may produce just 50 cups a day. Okay, so let me write it here. Bubble tea. If the price is 25 baht, produces maybe 50 cups a day, and then if the price rises to 80 baht per cup, very profitable, right? So they may produce like 200 cups a day. Next one, let's suppose that the price goes up to 150 baht per cup. What will happen? So everyone wants to open a bubble tea shop. Okay, so that means I'm gonna resign from my work and you guys withdraw from your student status. Okay, so everyone, all of us, we want to open a bubble tea shop because it's so profitable, right? 150 baht per cup. That means there are more supply in the market, all right? So higher price, higher profit per unit, there's more motivation to produce. Okay, simple as that. Here is about ceteris paribus reminder, okay? All of this assumes everything else stays constant. Suppose that the cost of ingredients and technology, number of sellers, okay? So we hold those factors constant. Makes sense, right? If the price of mangoes doubles, farmers have every incentive to sell more mangoes. Higher price, more supply, that's the whole idea, okay? So the law of supply, which means higher price, more temptation to produce and sell. Here we have the same idea as the demand schedule. A supply schedule is just a table showing quantities a seller is willing to sell at different prices. Let's fill in the blanks. Okay, so suppose this table showing supply of bubble tea. And so here is the price. Let me use on the color price, which is P, and quantities. So basically here is quantity supplied, okay? So I'm gonna use Q and a sub S, okay, to represent quantity supplied. Let's see at 25 bar, how much How many cups do you want to produce? Maybe just 20. How about 40? You may produce like 50 cups per day, and 60. So let's suppose 80 cups a day. And if the price is 80, so we may have 120 cups. If the price is 100, we might have 150 cups a day. You see here, as price goes up, quantity supplied goes up too. Next, we'll take this same table and turn it into a graph. This is about how to draw the supply curve, all right? Supply curve for bubble tea. Okay, so now let's plot that bubble tea table. Price on the vertical axis. Quantity supplied on the horizontal axis. I'm gonna use QS, okay, which means quantity supplied. Quick question for you. Supply curve has a positive or negative slope. It should be positive, right? Okay, let me finish the supply curve here. We have price, 20. And the quantity I need, okay, 30. And then we just find each coordinate, right? So 25, price is 25. So maybe it's here, the quantity is 20. And then 40, which is 50. 68, 60, which is 80. 80, we have 120, and then if the price is 100, we have 150. And then we connect them. This is our supply curve, okay? I'll just use S to represent the supply curve of bubble tea here. Notice that supply curves go up because higher price, more supply. But demand curve, okay, goes down. Higher price, less demand. Same structure as before. Now, on the supply side, individual supply, just one firm, how much it wants to sell at each price. Market supply, every firm in the market. We add them together at each price level. Let's think about the example, okay? How many cups of bubble tea would one shop offer at 40 baht? So that's individual supply. And if we add up every bubble tea shop in Chiang Mai at that price, that's the market supply, okay? Same horizontal summation idea we used for demand. Be careful about this, okay? It's horizontal summation. Okay, so here, individual supply and market supply for milk. Let's fill this in together. Suppose we have 3 milk companies, says Meiji. I don't know how, actually, I'm not sure. Is it Meiji? You say it's at 7-Eleven, and we have a Dutch Mill company and Foremost. Okay, 3 milk companies. Let's see the price. If the price is, let me finish the price column. Okay, for Meiji, we have 100, 150, 200, 250, all the way through to 300. Another one for Dutch Mill. So 80, 120, 240. And for Foremost, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. And then for the market supply, which means the total, right? You do the summation. You do the summation, right? You can use the calculator. Okay, we got 240, 360, 480, 600, and 720. This is exactly the same horizontal summation logic from demand. Just now, we're adding up sellers instead of buyers. So you may notice that when milk price rises, all 3 companies produce more, right? Each for their own profit motive. The total milk available in the market increases as a result. That's the market supply curve shift upward, all right? So the takeaway in this slide is market supply equal every seller's decision combined into one number. Okay, now let's actually draw it. Using the number we just filled in, plot market supply against price, same as we did with the demand curve. Basically, we're gonna have price, and here, quantity supplied. I'm not gonna draw the precise points here, okay? Instead, I'm gonna draw just roughly, okay, the shape. Suppose, okay, for Meiji, I use yellow, right? So yellow line is Meiji. Suppose, okay, so let's start here. It's somewhere, should be here. This is for Meiji, okay? Next one for Dutch Mill. Okay, purple, purple, purple. Somewhere here. Lower than Meiji company, okay, for Dutch Mill. And next one, Foremost. It's even lower than the Dutch Mill. Okay, so this one is for Foremost. And then how can we get the market supply? We just add them up, right? So it should be somewhere here. I'm gonna use blue, okay, for the market supply. Okay, this is the individual supply and market supply curve. The three line, each company's individual supply, and the blue one, all right, is the market supply. Just add three, just all three added together at every price. It makes sense, right? It makes sense. More sellers in the market supply curve shift right. More total quantity at each price level. Next one, determinants of supply, okay? Just like demand, price of that good or service is the director factor. It moves you along the supply curve. Everything else shifts the whole curve, okay? This is the movement. Let's take a quick tour of the indirect factors, okay? Prices of related goods or services. Suppose if a farmer can grow either rice or corn, and corn prices rises, they may shift land away from rice. And next one, number of firms. More bubble tea shops open in Chiang Mai. Market supply increases, okay? Goal of the firm, profit maximizing versus just covering costs changes how much a firm offers. Next one, price of factors of production, okay? Those are input prices. Okay, those are inputs. Think about if sugar and milk get more expensive, bubble tea shops supply less at the same price, right? Next one, we have technology. Better equipment lets firms produce more at the same cost. And then expected future price. If sellers expect prices to rise next month, they might hold back stock now, okay? They might hold back stock now. And next one, government policy, taxes, subsidies, regulations all shift how much firms are willing to supply. Same rule as before, okay? If price of the good changes, it's a movement along the curve. Any of these, the whole curve shifts. Supply function or determinant of supply. This is just packaging everything we listed on the last slide into one equation. Okay, so read it as quantity supplied of good X depends on its own price, the price of related goods, the number of firms, the firm's goal, input prices, technology, expected future prices, and government policy, right? Same as we did with demand, this is just a compact way of saying supply is driven by many things, all right? And price is only one of them. We'll do the same simplification too. We assume everything else is constant and we get quantity supplied of good X is a function of the price of that good itself. So basically, let me write it down. This is the simplified version, all right? That's what lets us draw a clean supply curve. All right, so here, same distinction as demand. Here we have change in quantity supplied and change in supply. Okay, please pay attention. I don't want to see you guys choose the wrong answer. Change in quantity supplied happens only because price, the director factors, the price of that good changes, okay? Everything else held constant. And this is the movement along the supply curve. Next one, change in supply. The whole curve shifts because something other than price changes, okay? Maybe input costs, technology, number of firms, government policy, all right? This is the whole shift of the supply curve. Same rule as before, price moves you along the curve. Anything else shifts the curve. We'll see this pictured on the next slide, along with the increase and decrease terminology. All right, let's take a look at those two graphs. The left side, change in quantity supplied, same curve. You just move up or down along it. And the trigger is the price of that good only. And next one is changing in supply, which means the whole curve shifts left or right. If it shifts right, okay, suppose this is a S0 shifts to S1. This is increase in supply, okay? The other way around, if it shifts left from S0 to S2, okay, to the left side, this is the decrease in supply. At every price, firms offer less. Same tricks as demand. Check whether it's the line itself moving or your position on the line, okay? That tells you which concept you are dealing with. Okay, here is the summarized version. And also, you're gonna see those vocabularies in the exam, all right? Change in quantity supplied because the price of that good and price moves, curve stays fixed, okay? You just move up or down along it. The second one, change in supply, which means price stays the same, but the curve itself shifts. Shift to the right, which means increase in supply, okay? If it's a shift to the left, which means decrease in supply. So on an exam, is the curve moving or are you just moving along it? Curve moves, which means increase or decrease in supply because the curve moves around left or right, okay? You move along a fixed curve, which means change in quantity supplied, exact mirror of what we did with demand. Okay, here, elasticity of supply, right? Elasticity is the level of sensitivity of one variable to a change in another. So we have epsilon here, percentage change in quantity supplied, divided by percentage change in price. And here, this is the percentage change in quantity supplied, and this one is percentage change in price, okay? In mathematics, all right, if you divide it by a fraction, you can actually multiply by its reciprocal, okay? Multiplying by its reciprocal. And you rearrange, you will get this one, but let me show you. So basically here, you divide it by a fraction, so you multiply by its reciprocal. Reciprocal, which means numerator and denominator flip, right? Flip. And then you rearrange, okay? Delta QS over delta P times P over QS. Okay, exactly same here. Okay, so here I'm gonna use the same rubber band intuition. Okay, if a small price rises, causes firm to ramp up production a lot, which means supply is elastic. But if firms barely change output, even with a big price change, supply is inelastic. All right. Think about the examples, okay? A bubble tea store can react fast because they can buy more cups, more ingredients, open longer hours, okay? So supply is elastic. The other way around, think about a rice farmer can't just grow more rice overnight because they have to wait for the next planting season, right? So supply is inelastic, at least in the short run. Let me write down those two examples. So basically here we have the first one, bubble tea store. Because here we are talking about producer, right? That's why I said store, not bubble tea alone. Because bubble tea alone, it's kind of good, right? It belongs to consumer side. Okay, so bubble tea store, the supply is elastic. And the second one, we have a rice farmer. For rice farmer, okay, they can't just grow more rice overnight. Okay, they have to wait for the next planting season. So supply is inelastic. Okay, I think I'm done for today. All right, I hope it's not too long. So see you this Thursday, okay? So this Thursday, we're gonna have a group discussion about producer behavior about this chapter. So bye bye, guys. See you.